why God has allowed this to happen to him, and talking about how wicked men seem to get away with everything they do. And yet this has been bestowed upon him who, according in his own eyes, is righteous. So, continuing, verse 3, I will fetch my knowledge from afar. I will ascribe righteousness to my Maker, for truly my words are not false. One who is perfect in knowledge is with you. Well, this guy has a very high opinion of what he knows and what he is about to say. Is it arrogance or is it divine revelation? I really can't say at this point. Let's dig in. Behold, God is mighty, but despises no one. He is mighty in strength of understanding. He does not preserve the life of the wicked, but gives justice to the oppressed. He does not withdraw his eyes from the righteous, but they are on the throne with kings, for he has seated them forever, and they are exalted. And if they are bound in fetters, held in cords of affliction, then he tells them their work and their transgressions, that they have acted defiantly. Okay? So if he's saying that if they do find themselves in bondage, shall we say, then God will let them know why. And it's because of their transgressions. So, God does hold you in bondage if it's justified, and he will make it clear to you why. Might not happen as soon as you'd want to know, and there are quite often times when we don't want to know that it's our fault. And if we don't want to know, maybe God won't tell us. I don't know. But in any case, God will tell those who sincerely want to know. Verse 10. He also opens their ear to instruction and commands that they turn from iniquity. If they obey and serve him, they shall spend their days in prosperity and their years in pleasures. But if they do not obey, they shall perish by the sword, and they shall die and they shall die without knowledge. Okay. Now, Job had been saying that the wicked are not punished by God in chapter 21, verse 7. Well, and subsequently argued the same thing in chapter 21, verses 27 through 33. So, Elihu, contradicts such arguments, and then follow that by contradicting his complaints found in chapter 24, verses 1 through 17. All right. Continuing, verse 13, but the hypocrites in heart store up wrath. They do not cry for help when he binds them. They die in youth, and their life ends among the perverted persons. He delivers the poor in their affliction and opens their ears in oppression. Indeed, he would have brought you out of dire distress into a broad place where there is no restraint. And what he has set on your table would be full of richness. But you are filled with the judgment due the wicked. Judgment and justice take hold of you, because there is wrath. Beware lest he take you away with one blow. For a large ransom you would not be able to avoid it. So, regardless of whether, he's saying regardless of whether Job thought this was justified or not, it was not his place to try and correct God. Not his place. Verse 19. Will your riches or all the mighty forces keep you from distress? Do not desire the night, when people are cut off in their place. Take heed, do not turn to iniquity, for you have chosen this rather than affliction. Behold, God is exalted by his power. Who teaches like him? Who has assigned him his way, or who has said, you have done wrong? Remember to magnify his work, of which men have sung. Everyone has seen it. Man looks on it from afar. Behold, God is great, and we do not know him. Nor can the number of his years be discovered. Yeah, God is great, and we do not know him. I mean, God is so big and so vast, no human being could ever truly understand him. At least not in this brief lifetime we have. No. Perhaps in eternity we will. But not in this life. For he draws up drops of water, which distill as rain from the mist, which the clouds drop down and pour abundantly on man. Indeed, can anyone understand the spreading of clouds, the thunder from his canopy? Look, he scatters his light upon it, and covers the depths of the sea. Again, Elihu is explaining you can see God through creation. God through nature. Verse 31. For by these he judges the peoples, he gives food in abundance, he covers his hands with lightning, and commands it to strike. His thunder declares it. The cattle also concerning the rising storm. All right. He continues in chapter 37. At this also my heart trembles and leaps from its place. Hear attentively the thunder of his voice and the rumbling that comes from his mouth. He sends it forth under the whole heaven, his lightning to the ends of the earth. After it a voice roars. He thunders with his majestic voice, and he does not restrain them when his voice is heard. Yes. God thunders marvelously with his voice. I find it interesting. In verse 3, he talks about his lightning to the ends of the earth. And then he talks about God's voice as being thunder. Well, can God speak through thunder? Maybe. If he does, I'm sure the message is intended for somebody or some people specifically. But, however you want to judge that, the lightning belongs to God, as does the thunder. Because thunder is a product of lightning. God thunders marvelously with his voice. He does great things which we cannot comprehend, for he says to the snow, fall on the earth. Likewise to the gentle rain and the heavy rain of his strength. He seals the hand of every man, that all men may know his work. That's interesting. It says he seals the hand of every man. that all men may know his work. I'm not entirely certain what that means. Seals the hand. Does he put his seal on every man? Does that mean to stop men from working? You think of the mark of the beast and how that's going to be taken on the head or the hand. Yeah, I'm not entirely certain, what that means. Maybe he's talking about he can stop men from working, so that all men may know his work. Men will take their focus off their own work and start putting it on the work of God. Maybe that's it. All right. Verse 8. The beasts go into dens and remain in their lairs. From the chamber of the south comes the whirlwind, and cold from the scattering winds of the north. Yeah, we're getting a real lesson in meteorology here. Yeah, I'm sure these details can be backed up scientifically too. That's something to research. Okay. Verse 10. By the breath of God ice is given, and the broad waters are frozen. Also with moisture he saturates the thick clouds. He scatters his bright clouds, and they swirl about, being turned by his guidance. Okay. That they may do whatever he commands them on the face of the whole earth. He causes it to come, whether for correction, or for his hand, or for mercy. I've heard it said, there are some believe that it's possible for mankind, with today's modern technology, to control the weather however he wants it. I personally don't believe that, but even if mankind has somehow attempted it, it's not like they can wrestle away control of the weather from God. No. I believe God will always be in control of the weather, no matter what these conspiracy theorists try to make us believe. Okay, verse 14. Listen to this, O Job. Stand still and consider the wondrous works of God. Do you know when God dispatches them and causes the light of his cloud to shine? Do you know how the clouds are balanced? Those wondrous works of him who is perfect in knowledge? Why are your garments hot when he quiets the earth by the sound wind? With him have you spread out the skies, strong as a cast metal mirror. Teach us what we should say to him, for we can prepare nothing because of the darkness. Should he be told that I wish to speak? Oh, now he is getting personal. He's again, he's going back to Job's request to shall we say, have his day in court, to argue his case that he's innocent and that he is unworthy of this, and his certainty that he will be found innocent. Well, Elihu is just saying it's not your place, to demand a day in court in front of God. Not your place. Yeah. Verse 20, should he be told that I wish to speak? If a man were to speak, surely he would be swallowed up. Even though men cannot look at the light when it is bright in the skies, when the wind has passed and cleared them. He comes from the north as a golden splendor, with God as awesome majesty. As for the Almighty, we cannot find him. He is excellent in power, in judgment and abundant justice. He does not oppress, therefore men fear him. He shows no partiality to any who are wise of heart. All right. So that's all Elihu has to say. Now we're in chapter 38. And who shows up but the Lord God himself? And now he has something to say to Job. Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind. Oh my goodness. Remember how he addressed Elijah, and not the earthquake or the fire or the storm, but a still small voice? Well, that's not how he's doing it with Job. He's coming in the whirlwind. So this is going to be scary for Job, I can tell. Verse 2. Who is this who darkens counsel by words without knowledge? How's that for a charge? You speak words without knowledge. You don't know what you're talking about. That's more or less what the Lord is telling Job here. Verse 3. Now prepare yourself like a man. I will question you, and you shall answer me. Yeah. Oh, how quickly the tables have turned here. And God continues. He says to Job, where were you, Job, when I laid the foundations of the earth? Tell me if you have understanding. Who determined its measurements? Surely you know. Or who stretched the line upon it? To what were its foundations? Or who laid its cornerstones? When the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy. The sons of God, they were referenced in Genesis, most likely angels. Verse 8. Or who shut the sea with doors when it burst forth and issued from the womb? I believe that's a reference to Noah's flood. It didn't just rain, but it's believed that the earth actually split open and waters gushed up from it. Well, at some point it had to be shut up. So I believe that's what that may be what is being referred to. You know, the shutting of those earthly doors from which the water gushed. Okay, it could also have It could also have to do with why the seas don't flood all the land on Earth, even though there's more than enough water to make that happen. Like, what holds the seas back? Verse 9. When I made the clouds its garment, and thick darkness its swaddling band, when I fixed my limit for it, and set bars and doors, when I said, this far you may come, but no farther, and here your proud waves must stop. Okay, so he is talking about how the oceans are held back from flooding all the land on the earth. That's something we seriously need to ponder. We just take it for granted that the oceans aren't going to flood the land. Why is that? Why is that? We're learning why right here. Verse 12. Have you, Job, commanded the morning since your days began, and caused the dawn to know its place, that it might take hold of the ends of the earth, and the wicked shall be shaken out of it? It takes on form like clay under a seal and stands out like a garment. From the wicked their light is withheld, and the upraised arm is broken. Have you, Job, entered the springs of the sea? Or have you walked in search of the depths? Have the gates of death been revealed to you? Or have you seen at the doors of the shadow of death? Have you comprehended the breadth of the earth? Tell me if you know all this. Yeah. He's making it very clear to Job that he doesn't have all the knowledge he thinks he does. Nope. At the very least, he doesn't have as much knowledge as God does. That's for darn sure. Yep. 19. Where is the way to the dwelling of light, and darkness, where is its place? That you may take it to its territory, that you may know the paths to its home. Do you know it because you were born then, or because the number of your days is great? Have you entered the treasury of snow, or have you seen the treasury of hail, which I have reserved for the time of trouble, for the day of battle and war? By what way is light diffused, or the east wind scattered over the earth? Okay. Now he talks about the treasury of snow and the treasury of hail, used for times of battle and war. Well, God can use hail as sling stones. I mean, hail is going to be a judgment in Revelation. Psalms. Psalm 68 verse 14 also references snow and how God can use it. So yes, hail and snow belong to God. Verse 25. Who has divided a channel for the overflowing water, or a path for the thunderbolt, to cause it to rain on land when there is no one? A wilderness in which there is no man, to satisfy the desolate waste, and to cause to spring forth the growth of tender grass. So he's more or less saying, I even send great acts of weather, thunder and lightning, even where man isn't to witness. Okay. Has the rain a father, or who has begotten the drops of dew? From whose womb comes the ice, and the frost of heaven, who gives it birth? The waters harden like stone, and the surface of the deep is frozen. Can you bind the cluster of Pleiades, or loose the belt of Orion? Ah, the belt of Orion. So even way, way, way back then, mankind was aware of constellations, and they knew what they were. They had names for them. Can you bring out Mazzaroth in this season? Or can you guide the great bear with its cubs? That's also a reference to a constellation, Ursa Major. Do you know the ordinances of heavens? Can you set their dominion over the earth? Can you lift up your voice to the clouds, that an abundance of water may cover you? Can you send out lightnings that they may go, and say to you, here we are? Who has put wisdom in the mind, or who has given understanding to the heart? Who can understand? Who can number the clouds by wisdom? Or who can pour out the bottles of heaven when the dust hardens in clumps and the clogs cling together? I mean, there is just no holding the Lord back. No. Can you hunt the prey for the lion, or satisfy the appetite of the young lions? God provides for his animals. Okay. What can Can Job provide for a lion? God can. Job can't. 40. When they crouch in their dens, or lurk in their lairs to lie in wait, who provides food for the raven when its young ones cry to God and wander about for lack of food? This is just a straight-up interrogation. He's just asking question after question after question, more or less driving home to the point, what do you know, Job? You don't know anything. You think you're so smart. You think you're full of wisdom, and yet you know nothing. All right. All right, well, that concludes chapter 38. Unfortunately, there's just not enough time remaining to dive into 39, so we'll end it there. And so join us next week when we shall conclude the book of Job. Until then.